Flames Nation, it's Printzy. I'm back with another episode. I made it out alive from the Oilers Nation Open golf tournament last weekend. We'll get into that a little bit here too. But as our off-season rolls on at Flames Nation, we've been joking around on Twitter that off-season free agency in the content world is a real thing. We introduced to you one of our newest members of Flames Nation last week, Audie James, and now we're on to another new member of the Flames Nation team, one that I'm super excited to talk to about, one that I'm super excited to have on the team, Robert Munnich. How are you doing, fella? Welcome to Flames Nation, man.
I'm doing great. I'm incredibly excited to be here. I'm a little surprised to be here, if I'm being totally honest. Just a few weeks ago, you slid into my DMs there and just told me, fella. And I was like, oh, what's this all about here? So, and it all kind of started from there. But yeah, I am super, super excited to be here. I love talking Flames, one of my favorite things to do. So
That's
let's
awesome.
jump
Man.
right into it.
I love the fella thing. That's what everybody at Flames
Yeah.
Nation too is like. Even Audie's starting to say fella a little bit more, so I like to rub off on people because Audie says lad and now he's saying fella. So, but yeah, what we were talking about before is it's free agency in the content world. It's a real thing, man. Like people were thinking we're joking around and having fun, but it's a real thing, man. We had a killer end of the season into playoffs in terms of the content stuff. But we just didn't have enough bodies, man. We just did not have enough bodies to help out, and going up against Oilers Nation, it's always 20 against 1. So as soon as the season ended, as soon as we got bounced by those damn Oilers, Ryan Pike and I actually got to sit down and just go through a list of guys that were like, okay, this guy might work. This guy might work. What do we use for him here and there? And I had known Robert for a while doing your Ring of Fire stuff. So I put it out there right away. And I sent Pike a piece of your writing, and he got back to me like immediately and was like, get this done now. It's like, yes. So
That's awesome.
I just want to get your perspective of sitting there in the off season and all of a sudden you get a DM from me and you're probably thinking, what the hell is this?
Yeah, well, I was just working away. I work remotely. I was just working from home, and then I got a DM from you on Twitter, like I was saying, just saying fella, and I was like, oh, like I've talked to you in the past a little bit through DMs. I sent you some clips and stuff like that for curfew.
Yeah.
But I saw that, I'm like, oh, what could this be about? And that was right around the time when the whole Johnny situation was going down and the Matthews situation was going down. So there's just crazy times in Flames world. And then, so I got the DM from you. You and I had some really good chats about Flames Nation, the direction of Flames Nation. I love the direction that you and Pike and everybody else has taken it in. So the fact that you guys reached out to me was incredibly exciting. Like, I only started Ring of Fire like a little over a year ago. It was I think it was May in 2021 during the bubble season. So I haven't really been doing it for too long. So the fact that you guys had reached out so early and like this whole process was super exciting and pretty surprising. But man, I'm just super excited to be here and be with the team and start building something special here.
Yeah, it's awesome, man. I'm super glad that we could actually have you on the team here too. It's a little quiet right now in August. We're still, still working on some stuff in the off season. But once we get rolling here into the, around the preseason stuff here, that's when everybody's going to see what Flames Nation is really all about right now. You just got everyone watching. You just got a small taste of it. You didn't get the real thing. So we're super excited to have you pumping out articles, content, hopping on podcasts. It's crazy, man. Like, I'm kind of like you too. I'm a bit of a clipper too. Like, as you can see on some of the stuff on Flames Nation and Missing Curfew too. Like, how did you come up, like, I guess, with the idea to do that for like Ring of Fire, man? Like, I'm kind of the guys that like, I have like a weird thing, like where in school I couldn't retain, stuff from social studies or math, but I could remember this goal from, like the one he posted today, like from Nigel Dawes scoring, like I could remember that stuff. Are you kind of like that too?
Dude, I'm the exact same way. Like, you can just ask like my family and friends, like they'll be talking about like a certain day. I'm like, oh yeah, like I remember that. Like that night the Flames beat the Sharks 4-2 and Gimlet scored 2 goals. I'm like such a nerd and like in that regard. So I'm like totally the same way. But I've been wanting to start like a Flames blog, like Twitter page for a long time. And then finally just kind of at the end of that bubble season 2021, I to be totally honest, I thought like kind of like the Flames content world, there wasn't a lot of video. There wasn't a lot of stuff out there that I wanted to see as a fan. And I finally just said, like, screw it. Like, I'm just going to jump in. I'm going to hop in. I'm just going to do stuff that like I would like to see on Twitter and social media as a Flames fan. So for me, that was a lot of video stuff. A lot of kind of like, I put out like my opinion on some stuffs and Flame stuff, and I try to get some conversation going. But yeah, from like the video perspective, there was one day I was just on Twitter and I saw there was a Twitter page called Random NHL Goal of the Day.
Right.
And the day I discovered it, it was a Flames goal. It was like, from like 2007, like in LA.
Yeah.
Ole Jokinen just ripped one past LaBarbera or something like that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that was pretty cool. Like I wish we had something like that for Flames fans. I was like, just screw it. Like, I'll just do it. So I'd never clipped anything in my life. Like, I'm not very great with technology and all that, but I just taught myself how to do a whole bunch of things and started Random Flames Goal a Day. And I think that's kind of like what I've become known for on Twitter. And it's kind of blown up a little bit. People really like it. People have reached out and said that, they love seeing it. Like, a few months ago, Johnny Gaudreau's mom reached out and said I love these random goals of the day.
That's awesome.
Yeah, stuff like that. So yeah, just when I started the blog and the Twitter page, I just wanted to get my thoughts out there and like just do things that I wanted to see from a fan's perspective, because I just found like the Flames are kind of lacking in like the video and some other aspects online. So just thought I'd pop in and try and do that myself a little bit.
Oh yeah, I agree 100%. I mean, they're focused on obviously what's happening with the team and whatnot like that. But it's pretty without you take Ring of Fire Calgary away, it's pretty hard to come across a Damon Lankow goal or the old school Funuff slap shot goals with the green stick and all this kind of stuff that it gets kind of passed by in the history of Flames. So it's really cool to have that kind of stuff. And if fans are kind of wondering there, it wasn't never Flames Nation's intention to be like, Ring of Fire's done now. You're going everything on Flames Nation. We're gonna share, we're gonna collab, keep doing what you're doing, man, because it's perfect stuff for us too, and we're only helping each other out with that kind of cool stuff too. And then, so you're going to do that. We're going to be doing some podcasting too. We got a cool bullpen of guys that we're going to do some roundtable discussion on, break down some of the games, pregame, postgame, all that kind of cool stuff. But you're also going to be doing some writing and stuff too, which you've already put out some wicked articles too for Pike too. So,
thanks.
Did you have any history in writing in the past, or was it kind of the same thing with the clips and stuff? It was just like, I just want to get my thoughts out there.
Yeah, kind of the same idea. I mean, I did kind of have, I think it was like 2015 when I was in university. I attempted like creating my own like NHL blog,
right.
But I did it for like a couple months and it kind of phased out. Wasn't really gaining any traction. I was super busy with school, so I kind of put it on the side for a bit. But I've been doing writing like in school and even for my job here, I do quite a bit of writing. So I've been doing it for a long time. I was just like I'm such a diehard Flames fan and I follow this team. Like I probably watch like 70, 75 games a year. Like I'm a true diehard Flames fan. Man. So
I like it.
I just wanted like a way to, or like an outlet to put out my thoughts and some of my opinions and stuff like that. And and I have a lot of fun with it. Like I love the research. Mm-hmm. I love all the time that I put into it. I've been getting into stats a little bit more recently. Nice, I love that, Pike and Shane do all that kind of stuff. And through them, I've kind of been like inspired to kind of learn more about that. So
good, man. Good.
It's just been a lot of fun over the last year. I love talking about the team. I love writing about the team. And now I'm really excited that I get to do it for a way bigger audience now, Flames Nation.
Yeah. Oh yeah. 100%, man. And I've known of Flames Nation since it started, like whatever it was, 09 or 08 or whatever it was. That's kind of, if you're not going to the website to get the game day articles and stuff like that, you're going to Flames Nation. And, with the evolving world, we're able to put out a lot more cool stuff. And now that we're adding podcasts and video shows and the sky's the limit right now at Flames Nation. So I wanted to get your thoughts. And I asked Audie this too, because as of someone before you got the fella DM, everybody kind of noticed that one day Flames Nation was just doing blogs. And then all of a sudden, boom, a video appeared. And then an old school fight appeared, and then a mic'd up clip, and then a picture that you're like, I've never seen this before, and then some more stuff, and then you got me and Noah standing up front of the dome, and then you got a picture of me fighting with Oiler fans outside Trolley 5. Like, what was your thoughts about, because you follow Flames Nation, what were your thoughts on like, okay, what the hell is going on over here with Flames Nation? Because we've had a lot of people that have been like, I had no idea what was going on, but I wanted to be a part of it.
Yeah, well, I followed the Nation Network in general for a long time.
Yeah.
So like, for those that don't know, I actually live in Vancouver, so I thought like just being in the city, I kind of followed the Canucks a little bit too.
Oh yeah.
And I discovered like Canucks Army back in like, 08, 09. So I'm familiar with like the whole Nation Network. It was a great blog, when like Kent Wilson was writing there and then Pike and a whole bunch of others over the years. It's always been a really good blog. But yeah, now that we were transitioning to video and stuff, like I just think the Flames Nation is like a lot more fun.
Yeah, I agree.
Like the key for me is like on social media, like I just want to like have fun. I want like a fun place to be. Like I want to see old goals. I want to see old fights. Like you said, like, you know, pictures of like Oleg Saprikin swag and like
Yeah, those
2003.
white
Like I
skates.
love that shit. Like it's
Yeah.
so much fun. So I'm really happy that Flames Nation's doing that, because honestly, like nobody else does it. Like
Yeah.
mainstream media in Calgary, like I don't want to rip on mainstream media, but like
right,
it's a little boring.
It
If I'm
is,
being
man.
totally honest.
It's a little boring.
So
It's a little
I
bit of
think
the
with
same
Flames
stuff.
Nation here, it's just super exciting that we're gonna kind of take over that space and be like the central hub for Flames fans when it comes to video, podcasts, articles. Like I think we're gonna be it in the city. And yeah, I love the direction that you and Ryan are taking Flames Nation right now. It's super, super exciting. It's only gonna get bigger and better over the years here.
Oh yeah, and that's the thing I'm trying to get across to fans. It is so quiet right now. Although, since whatever it was, July the 12th or the 13th, since Gaudreau had announced that, you know, he was not coming back to the Flames, I think we've had 1 week where nothing has happened. It's been Gaudreau's left, Gaudreau's signed, fallout from that, Kachuk trade, Huberdeau comes, then we talk about him for a week, and then all of a sudden Kadri, then the Wranglers show up. So that's what I was up at the head office last week, and they were like, you literally have not had an off season. Like for us, we're just kind of keeping it quiet. We're writing about stuff, but you guys have not had an off season at all. So in speaking about the off season, I wanted to get your thoughts on this roller coaster. Like, is this the most monumental off season in terms of Flames history, from going to 2 losses to wins to adding another player? Like what is the, like, if you could sum up the entire off season, like I don't have words to do it, man. So I want to hear what you got to say.
It's been nuts.
Yeah.
It's been absolutely insane. I find the interesting thing about it is from the time the Oilers eliminated us to the time Johnny let the team know that he was going to be testing free agency, it was dead. Yeah. Like it was just dead quiet. And then just all of a sudden out of nowhere, it just exploded. Like Flames Nation was just like up in flames. It was unbelievable, crazy stuff. So you know what? I've been clamoring for this kind of off season for so long.
So have I, man.
Like I wanted this core to change for like a few years now, and I'm so happy that we're finally seeing it, because like Johnny, Monty, Gio, Kachuk, like they're great. Like love those guys. Awesome Flames, awesome hockey players, but like they didn't do anything. Like we didn't have any playoff success with them. So I'm super happy that Brad Treliving finally kind of pulled the plug on that core and somehow built this new core that might even be better than the old core. Like insane. Like I don't know, like what do you think of this offseason so far?
Well, it's kind of like what you're talking about. It's like ripping off a band-aid. Like you knew it was coming, but you didn't want it to happen, right? Like in the back of my head, I'm like, okay, if Johnny leaves, is that really a bad thing, right? Like you obviously you want to retain him because you don't want to see him go somewhere else, because it's heartbreaking to see him, even though it's in a Columbus Blue Jackets jersey, it's still heartbreaking to see him go somewhere else.
Brutal.
But you're absolutely right. Like as much as it was fun to like clamor onto these guys and hang on to Gaudreau and Monahan, and Gio probably prepped us for the inevitable of seeing him with another team, they haven't done anything, man. Like it's not it's cool to reminisce about the 2015 half run that we had where we took out the Canucks and then got waxed by the Ducks. Like it's cool to look back on that kind of stuff, but it's not success, right? Like cool, we beat the Winnipeg Jets in like a elimination best of, I don't know, best of 3 or whatever. That doesn't count, right? No. And then you go on to Dallas, and we had, if you look back on the Dallas thing, like we had them, man. We had them. We could have taken them out, but we just didn't do it because the big names didn't step up and do stuff, man. And we even look at, okay, Dallas was awesome. Like that series against Dallas was incredible. Like I said, we're following around with content for Flames Nation. You got Johnny Gaudreau scoring the overtime goal. I go back to something like Kachuk. I love Kachuk, missing curfew guy. I love him. Him chasing around Klingberg all series. Like what was the benefit of that, man? Like we needed guys, sense. Him chasing around Klingberg, fights him, and then hurts his hand, and then is irrelevant against the Oilers, man. So like I said, ripping off a Band-Aid, it just had to happen, man. Now it could have went in one of two directions, right? Like when we're sitting there on Friday night a month ago or whatever it was, I think it was a month yesterday, sitting there Friday night at 8:30, and then 9:00 rolls around, then you get a tweet from Elliot Friedman saying Kachuk to Florida. I've talked about this with Audie before too, is we see that. I don't know if you did you see the original tweet before the actual?
Oh yeah.
So I'm thinking probably that what everybody else is thinking is, who are they going to get from Florida? I'm like, who is Florida going to give up? they're gonna so what's coming back is we're gonna take their late picks because they got none, so it'll be a couple first, and then like nothing. So I'm like, we're screwed. Yeah. And then that comes in, so it could have went one of two ways. You could have went full rebuild, or completely rebound like we did. So we're sitting here high five and all, yeah, we got Hubert and Weagle, but it could have been so much worse.
Could have been a disaster.
It really could have been, and I don't know if I was prepared. Especially being the guy that does most of everything for FlamesNation. I don't know if I was prepared to cover a rebuild season, man. Like I knew,
especially coming off a division win and like Johnny scoring that goal in Game 7, like that would have been hard to deal with.
That would have been tough, man. Like I don't know. I was like, man, like we got to cover this, and like if you're going into a rebuild, like you can't tell guys to tank and not win games, but the whole point is to not win games and get a good draft pick. Like obviously if you're rebuilding this year, you're not beating the Blackhawks out for Bedard, I don't think, but you still want to get a top 5 pick or even be in the money for the lottery stuff. But like I said, where we're at today is incredible, man. Like we were all calling for Brad Treliving's head. Like I don't know if you were.
I was one of them. I was definitely one of them.
I wasn't like unloading the ammo on him. I definitely said that he needs to, he's got to be on a short leash. But lots of people were calling for his head. And now if you ask anybody today, they're probably like, because it's his last year of his contract, they're like, resign him now because of what this stuff. We've heard Pat, I've heard lots of insiders, I've had people even, close to the camp say the Uyghur thing's going to get done. It's just a matter of time. But if that happens, should Brad Treliving be extended as well? What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, he's done an amazing job. I mean, he's handled a terrible situation.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I can't imagine what I would have done if I was general manager and my 2 best players have decided to walk. Like that's just insane. But like, give him credit. Like this has just been an unbelievable job of crisis management. Like he's shown like great leadership throughout the whole thing. Super impressive guy. Yeah. So based off that, I mean, yeah, I would seriously look at trying to get an extension done with him.
Yeah, I don't know if I would do a long one, but keep.
Yeah, well, like if you look back at his entire tenure,
right? With the you can't just base it off this offseason, right?
To be honest, his entire tenure with the team has been a little underwhelming.
Yeah,
because I mean, when he started as general manager, he was given a Norris Trophy caliber defenseman.
Yeah,
an elite winger in Johnny Gaudreau, Sean Monahan, TJ Brody, Michael Backlund, who had Selke votes. Like he had a good core to build around.
Yeah.
And it took him 8 years to get to the point where they were actually like a legit cup team. And now he loses a couple of those players and kind of saves the day. So I think we're seeing like a little bit of recency bias when we're analyzing how good of a job Treliving's done.
That's a good
throughout his entire tenure. But like, I mean, gotta give him credit. I mean, he saved the day. Uyghur and Huberdeau in a trade for Matthew Tkachuk. Like, are you kidding me? A top pair defenseman? Like everyone's talking about with Uyghur, he's a top 4. Yeah. No. Like Uyghur's a legit like number 1 top pairing guy. Like he's sick.
Yeah.
And Huberdeau, obviously spectacular player too, and a first round pick and a prospect. Like it doesn't get much better than that. And then you get Kadri on top of it. So
yeah. Well, the first round pick orchestrated the Kadri thing with shipping Monahan, which we'll get to in a second. And I have had a lot of buddies and a lot of people within the Flames universe say, I don't really know much about Uyghur, man. Like I've seen him a little bit here and there. And for me, I just ended up getting lucky because Mackenzie Uyghur is a massive Missing Curfew fan. Massive. He's been on a couple times. He always talks to us, always DMs. I've talked to him a little bit myself. So when he did start coming on the show, I just made an effort to watch him, right? Because that was kind of back maybe a year and a half, 2 years ago when Florida and Tampa were kind of having those Battle of Alberta style games. So whenever a Florida Tampa game, I would tune in. And I was saying, like, this kid is so underrated. Like he moves his feet, he drives the play, he gets back in there. He's a little offensive. No, he's not going to go out there and fight everyone like Erica Branson did, but he's gonna play a little chip on his shoulder, a little edge to his game. So a lot of people are wondering what we got from Mackenzie Uyghur. You're getting a top pairing defenseman. And if they lock him up long-term, that's your number, maybe it's a bold take, but that's your number 1 defenseman for a very long time. A lot of people like to put Tanev into that category, but I just like to look at him as the leader of that core, right? Like he's a good, older defenseman with some veteran presence who can still move. He puts his body on the line, defensive, chips in offensively here and there, but Mackenzie Uyghur is your number 1 guy. The final piece, and we just got into it here, the final piece of the offseason. Well, hey, maybe I shouldn't say the final piece of the offseason because we'll also debate. Let's hope not. But what happened on Thursday? Crazy thing. So I live in Airdrie, Alberta, just outside of Calgary. and the Oilers Nation Open, their golf tournament was on Friday, and I was heading up to the Nation office to do some content, hop on some shows. I left maybe the house at like maybe nine-ish, and it was the lady from Sportsnet, Shayna, who put that tweet out there. I think it was, Kadri's going to sign. I don't remember if it says something in the West or something. It said Kadri's going to sign today. And she's a credible source. She's got the blue check mark, I believe. And I saw that while I was filling up gas. And in my head, I was just like, motherfucker's going to go to Calgary. And I'm heading to Edmonton right now. Like, oh my God, he is. So no, I'm not texting and driving or whatever. Like I'm, sporadically checking here and then nothing's happened. And I just get outside of Red Deer and I get the text from Pike. It's like, Kadri signed. Where are you? Where are you? And I'm like, oh my God. So I had to pull over, find the nearest spot. The closest thing was a mall. So I'm in the mall food court trying to find out what we did, what we signed, all that. I sat there for like an hour and a half, got up again, made it all the way to Leduc before some of the details came out. So to pull over again in Leduc, just a wild series of events. Crazy. And we kind of, you might have had it in the back of your mind that it was going to happen, but we all were like, I don't know about you, but I was like Islanders, man. Like so many people have said Islanders, man. Like it's going to happen. The Islanders. My one thing that I will say is Frank Cervalli, who's on our team at Daily Faceoff, he constantly kept saying the Flames are still poking around. They're still poking around. So he declined the trade in 2019, but he's here now. What do you think of Nazem Kadri as a Calgary Flame?
Yeah, I mean, I think he's a perfect fit on this roster now. Like, I literally don't think it gets any better in terms of fit, because like now we have 3 elite defensive centers who can also produce offense. We got Lindholm on the top line, Kadri in the second line, Backlund third line. Like this is the center ice group that we've wanted in Calgary for years now. So like I'm so happy that's finally here. Like Daryl Sutter can throw out any of those guys and feel comfortable from a defensive standpoint.
Oh, like 100%, man. 100%.
Like it's so good. It's definitely a good short-term play. I worry long-term about the contracts. I mean, Kadri's gonna be 32 at the start of the season. He plays a tough game. Like Kadri's super physical.
Yeah, he's probably not gonna play all 82.
Probably not. Yeah. So, how is he going to age, come 35, 36, in that range? Right. I don't know. But you know what? Like, screw it. Like, we're in it for the next 2 or 3 years to win a Stanley Cup. So screw years 4 through 8 or 4 through 7 in that contract. Let's just go all in, try to win a cup. Like, I really think that the way this team's constructed right now, if they can add one more piece up front, this is the team that probably has the best chance to win a Stanley Cup probably since the early 90s. And I don't think I'm over exaggerating.
No, man, I don't think you are either. And I was having this discussion, a lot of the guys as soon as I got to the office, like, what do you think, man? Like, this is it's a 7-year deal, this and that. And I'm like, yeah, you know what? On paper, when they're, Huberdeau's 35 and Kadri's 35, 36, it doesn't look great. But if you look at it from a Brad Tree Living perspective, is this guy, he probably took it a little bit personal of, okay, I have to make something happen here in the next couple of years or I'm gone, right? Does Brad Tree Living necessarily worry about what's going to be happening in 2028, 2029? No, he's worried about now. He wanted to protect his job. He probably had, the gun probably got pulled back a little bit, but the gun's been pointed at his head ever since, Gaudreau and Tkachuk left. So he had to make something happen. At the end of the day, you're right, man. Like, it's not, we're worried about it now. The window to win a cup is now. Don't worry about it, man. It's not your money. It's Murray Edwards' money. We'll let him worry about that. The cap is going to go up, man. So those deals, especially the Kadri one, like right now, Kadri's the second highest paid Flame right now on the roster. Could be around the same, but he might bump him to third if we get Weegar done here soon. So you're looking at a couple of guys that you're going to have long-term in here. You've still got, you got to worry about Lindholm too. Like this knowing with what, what might happen. Because he's got 2 more years, or is he? Yeah, he's got 2 more years.
2 more,
So ideally, you want him to have a successful season. You want us to have a good playoff run, and then you want to extend him. You don't want to deal with this crap again, because I don't think Tree Living ever wants to deal with that crap again.
Yeah, you got to extend Lindholm next summer. 100%.
Extend Lindholm. You've still got Anderson. You've still got Hannafin. You've got Markstrom to work with. Toffoli's got a little bit more time on his contract. We got Coleman. Backlund's kind of coming to the tail end. Whatever.
I think Dubé's just getting better and better.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I think he deserves a shot too. But that fills out, the top 9 pretty well. But the thing is, we've heard this, from Leslie, from Pat Steinberg, from Frank, whoever. I don't think they're done, man. I really don't think they're done either. They don't have a whole lot of wiggle room. But at the end of the day, too, 10 defensemen on one-way contracts is not an ideal situation either. So they couldn't end up shipping out a defenseman to create a little bit more money, whether that's like a Valimaki, a Shillington. You could even look on the high end and say, okay, well, we've got Mackenzie Weegar now. Is there a spot for Hanifin? Who knows, man? But there's only a handful of players left out there, and give Brad Treliving credit when we're looking at, okay, well, there's this player, that player, this player. He'll pull someone out from another place that no one's ever heard of. But right now, because Paul Stastny's off the board, he signed this morning in Carolina. He's off the board. That one probably didn't make much sense for us now, just because I believe he's a center. I think he's a center.
He's a center, and he's slow. Like we're trying to get faster in Calgary. I don't know if I like his speed, but
yeah. So if him as a center, it doesn't make sense, especially having the 3 down the middle. Then you've got Lewis, and then I think Rooney even plays a little bit of center too. So you got your fourth line covered, but you've got Evan Rodriguez, Sonny Milano, Phil Kessel is the one that a lot of people got circled. My Gold put that out there the other day and just got shit on for it. And then the dark horse for me would be someone like a Sam Steele from the Ducks. That's one that you got to take that's
an interesting one.
Take an interesting look at that one, but like that might be a PTO one. So if out of all those players, like who do you want right now? Who are you grabbing?
Oh, 100% Evan Rodriguez. 10 times out of 10. Because first of all, he's so fast. Like he's an incredible skater. And that's been one complaint that I've had about the Flames for a long time, is that they're just not fast enough.
Yeah.
Super slow. So like now that the fact that they've moved on from Monahan, who's not a great skater, they move on from Tkachuk, not a great skater, and then they bring in Kadri, Huberdeau, Weegar, and then if they could bring in a guy like Rodriguez, like the team becomes fast, and we can like start to compete on a speed level with Edmonton and Colorado. And Rodriguez is a right shot. I think the only right shots in the Flames forward group right now are Lindholm, Toffoli, Coleman, and Lewis.
Right.
So we need some more right shots up there. And the thing with Rodriguez is like, if he's not scoring, he's still an effective player.
Like
he can play anywhere in the lineup. He can play in the penalty kill. He can play good players. He can play bad players. Like he'll be effective no matter where he plays. Whereas like with a guy like Phil Kessel, if Kessel's not scoring, like what does he do?
He's not back.
Like I wonder if we run into like a James Neal, Troy Brower situation with a guy like Kessel, because he's like almost 35 and like he's slowing down a little bit, and if he's not producing offensively, like what does he do? So I'm looking for that kind of 5-tool player, and I think Rodriguez is that guy.
It would be nice to have someone that's a little bit younger. I know that if you do end up going after someone like Kessel, you're not signing into a 7-year deal, so you're not worried about that. It's definitely would be a 1-year deal. Kessel's foot speed, he's not as slow as people think. He just doesn't use it. I don't think he's busting up as hard back as he is up the ice. You're right though. I would like them to look at someone maybe a little bit younger in there. It's tough because we've had two trains of thought on this one, like guys at FlamesNation, Pike and Gold and Audie and Shane, like they're team Pelche, like give Jacob Pelche a shot, let him earn it. And then yesterday or whenever, actually it was, I think he did the show on Friday and he texted me, but I was just gunned with the guys that were there. I was like, sorry, Pat, I'll get it done for you when I can. I'm sorry. Pat had said on FlamesNation Live, he said, he's like, don't rush, man. There's no rush to get Jacob Pelche in that lineup on the starting night. He said, don't rush, man. He's like, just let him keep going in the AHL. He was a point per game player for 1 season. Can he do it again? It's one of those things where maybe you don't make a move and I don't know who you fill in that spot, but it could be Pelche, it could be not. I don't know, man. Like I see where Pat's coming from a little bit. I don't know what Sutter's philosophy is on playing the young guys. I don't know if he's big on it, hence the Brad Richardson experience. We'll see what happens here, but I don't know if anything's going to come down right away. I'm assuming that Tree's working on an extension for Weegar, and I'm assuming when that's done, Tree needs to go fuck off to a cabin for a week and shut his phone off and just not talk to anybody, man. But maybe he's not like that. Maybe he's like me and you, who doesn't really care for breaks, man, who just wants to be diving into work as much as possible. So
one thing, I'll just jump in on Pelche quickly.
Oh yeah.
One thing just to remember is last season in training camp, Sutter, Pelche is like part of like one of like the first round of cuts.
Yeah, that's right.
I don't know if Sutter's like a huge fan of him at this point of his career. Yeah. And that's totally fine. Like the thing is like we were just talking about, like the Flames are going for a Stanley Cup the next, 1, 2, maybe 3 years.
Yeah.
So if they keep Pelche in the AHL, that's not a bad thing. Like let him develop,
especially
let him get bigger, let him get stronger. Like
too.
Totally.
Yeah. Same
So,
building.
you know, the fact that we're going for it, just like, I'd be fine sliding in another veteran in that spot that a lot of people have Pelche penciled in.
Mm-hmm.
Let Pelche develop, kind of do like the Red Wing model. Let him like overripe in the AHL.
Yeah.
And don't force him into a situation where the Flames are winning the Pacific Division and are, you know, playing in a second round against a big, fast, physical team. Like, you don't need to rush Jacob Pelche whatsoever. So like, I'm totally cool if he plays for the Wranglers for like a year or two, and we just
even
go
the other
for
thing
it.
too is like, so, and this is the game of hockey, man. Injuries are gonna happen, right?
Totally.
You never know, man. Whatever, like we said, Kadri plays a hard game, man. Like, I know he's a centerman. We're talking about Pelche, but Kadri plays a hard game. Blake Coleman plays a hard game, man. These injuries happen, and you know, we give you know, and that's maybe the last topic we talk about. You give Sean Monahan all the credit in the world for playing through those injuries, but it's not beneficial to your career and your game, man. So if you got an option to maybe call him out, give him a shot. He's right there, man. And it's not like you're sending him across the country when you're done with him. You're sending him down the hallway. So, and then
Totally.
yeah, so that'll be kind of the last thing on the Flames talk here is you know, I do want to give love to Sean Monahan, man. Like, you know, whatever fans think of, you know, Johnny Gaudreau up and leaving the team, whether you're going to boo him or not. Matthew Tkachuk's probably not going to get booed because he did us a solid and got us a return, but Sean Monahan should get a standing ovation when he comes back, because you know what this guy did for the organization. Pike said it perfectly. Like, he was a bright spot on the Flames for a long time when there wasn't any reason to have a bright spot, right? Like, he was kind of the guy that gave us a little bit of hope after Ginla left. And, you know, just hearing about him, you know, like I said, whether it's smart or not, the guy played through injuries and didn't say anything, man, because he did it. And what he did last year, he didn't do what was best for him. He did what was best for the team, right? He went as long as possible he could. He played that fourth line role, dealt with some absolute bullshit online, which I'm sure he didn't read, but it's still out there. So I want to tip my hat to Sean Monahan. It was an absolute pleasure to watch him. What do you think of Sean Monahan, man? Like, you can't say a bad thing about the guy.
No, you definitely can't. Like you said, the thing about Sean Monahan is like, he was like the next big prospect.
Yeah, after
Ginla, from like, you know, 2000, pretty much from Dion Phaneuf until like 2013. Like, we didn't have like a legit like big time prospect to get excited about. I mean, like, I know Sven Berchi had like a, you know, a little run there. Remember, he scored three goals in 3 games.
Like, yeah, he's our savior.
Yeah, like Berchi's the next guy, but that didn't work out. But Monahan was like, he was like the next guy to get really excited about. And, you know, he made that 2013-14 season watchable. You know, him and Johnny Gaudreau were so exciting together, just an awesome dynamic duo. The one thing I love about Sean Monahan is he's able to score some like the weirdest goals you'll ever see. Like, he's such a natural goal scorer around the net. Like, it was crazy. You know, anywhere from like a 10-foot radius in front of the net, like, he could score in any way possible.
Yeah, he can,
which
man.
Not a lot of guys can do in the NHL.
It's probably why he got a lot of his injuries too, is taking some cross checks and, you know, being a centerman, having to bear down on the draw all the time too. So, I mean, like,
I mean, he had a good 5-6 year run here with the Flames. Like, he was a really good player, good guy in the community, just a really good person.
Absolutely, man.
Someone who's super easy to cheer for. It was too bad, you know, what happened to him in the last couple seasons with his health and his declining play. I mean, that was too bad, but you know what? He was a really good Flame for a long time. And, you know, like you said, he got us through some tough years there and
some tough times, man.
I wish him nothing but the best in Montreal. I really hope he gets his game back together, because he's a great guy.
There's a lot of people that are still even writing him off, saying like, it's, who knows if he's going to be able to come back from that stuff. And I don't wish failure on any of the Flames that left us at all. Do I wish that Johnny Gaudreau is going to score 100 points again? No, I don't. No. I hope that he gets 60. And I hope that that Matthew Tkachuk has a rough time with my buddy up in Tampa, the Big Rig. But with Sean Monahan, if he comes back, I wish that he has a breakout season, and I wish that he plays in their top line, and I wish, you know, nothing but success for the guy with Sean Monahan. Like I said, when he comes back to Calgary, fans, he should be giving him a standing ovation for what he did for the organization. And at the end of the day, we had to ship out a first round pick. Granted, it's an additional one. And oh God, we got those conditions at the office up in Edmonton. Oh my God. Like,
my head was exploding reading those.
Nobody could figure it out, man. Like, I had like Zach Lang, the guy from Edmonton, he was reading it for 7 minutes straight and he could not figure it out. We were like, we don't even know what to do. And then we'll just like, oh, just get Ryan Pike on the case. But what I would like to do is I'd like to get Ryan Pike to read it out loud on his podcast, like it's a graphic novel or something like that, just to see what he could make of it. But to ship out that first, you had to do it, man. You had to do it. It's not like you shipped it out to Arizona to get absolutely nothing, to just get him off the cap. we brought back Nazem Kadri, who's a Stanley Cup player, a champion, a winner, a guy that plays rough and tumble, a guy that's gonna, that Oilers rivalry that ain't done yet. You don't think Kadri is forgotten about, getting pushed from behind, and that was not a clean play. That was an extremely dirty, dangerous play by Evander Kane. And the thing about that I know about Nazem Kadri is if Evander Kane will not engage with him, and I'm not saying he's going to go out and look for a fight, but he's going to try to drag him into the fight. If Evander Kane does not engage with him, Kadri's going to go find somebody else. And he's like, okay, you're not going after me. I'm going to go give the Nuge a couple slashes and hacks and see if he'll do something. Like we got an ace up our hole. So
I cannot wait for the Battle of Alberta. It's going to be so much fun.
Me neither, man. Like,
they only play 3 times next year, which is just
gonna say that.
So stupid by the schedule
Christmas, man. It's all before Christmas. Like, so what happens if like last year the Oilers were like on their way to finishing in last place, and then they got a new coach and completely turned it around. So that happens after the Battle of Alberta's finished. Like, what are fans supposed to do? Like, we're going to be pretty cap strapped, and so are the Oilers. It'd be tough to make moves, but what if you play all 3 games and we both make moves? Like, how are you supposed to like go at it? Like, it's ridiculous, man. Like,
they should be playing near the end of the season, a couple games too, right before the playoffs to get things going. Like, schedule makers drop the ball on that one, unfortunately.
100%, man. So we're going to get it out of the way. We're definitely going to find out what's going on when we move on to our off season here. If we're going to have a big Flames Nation meetup and head up to Edmonton, if you can accommodate. I know you're in Calgary a little bit here. So the Oilers crew came down last year for the last meeting of the season, and it was an absolute riot, man. But one thing I did tell myself at the end of that night is when this happens again, these yahoos come down to Calgary, I'm not being outnumbered again. There's no way I'm being outnumbered. I was the only Flames fan in that room, and I took abuse all night in my own arena. So that shit ain't happening again. So this covers our Flames talk on our portion of the podcast today. Introducing Robert. That's one thing we wanted to do at Flames Nation. I don't want to just throw you guys out there and people are like, who are you? Like, what's going on? So they actually know your Ring of Fire. They know who Audie is. Next week on the podcast, we will be having Taranjot Vinning, who is straight out of Calgary, who is one of our additions on the podcast and the network and whatever, man. He's going to be doing some graphic design, some videos for us. And can't wait to have him on. But one thing that between Robert and myself is Robert and I have actually spoken before I was even in Flames Nation. And that's because most fans who listen to the show or they know who I am know that I am a member of the Missing Curfew podcast with Scotty Upshaw and Shane O'Brien. And I can say this because it's today. And it used to be Jimmy Hayes, who was our 3rd member of the podcast, who unfortunately today is August the 23rd, 2022. And Jimmy Hayes passed away on August the 23rd, 2021. And I just wanted to have an open conversation. There's a lot of stuff that fans don't necessarily know about my situation and what I've had to deal with. And, obviously, Robert, before I get into you're a big Missing Curfew fan too. It's kind of how we first connected too. So I wanted to get your thoughts on the whole situation before I kind of dive into it a little bit here.
Yeah, well, it was totally tragic. I mean, like you said, I'm a big fan of Missing Curfew. I've listened to almost every episode. I love the pod. And kind of like the powerful thing about podcasts is when you listen long enough, you almost feel like you're kind of part of the group.
Yeah.
You feel like you're at the bar, crushing beers, talking hockey with these guys. So, as a fan of Missing Curfew, I kind of felt like I got to know Jimmy Hayes, through the podcast a little bit.
Yeah.
Got to know that, he was a father, a great husband and, awesome brother, just an overall great guy. He's the type of guy, he's happy-go-lucky. Like, he makes everyone feel better after seeing him, he's fun, he brings energy. Like, to see a guy like that, pass away so unexpectedly was literally like devastating. Like, I never met the guy, of course, but like, I'm a fan of the podcast. And like the day when I found out that morning, it was just a total gut punch, and it came out of nowhere, and it was just horrible news. I feel so bad for, his friends, family, everyone. But just from a fan perspective, it was tragic because like it felt like you were kind of buddies with him almost, just through listening through the podcast. So, and just like I said, just the fact that it was so unexpected. He's a young guy, just left the NHL, he's in good shape. You never expect anything like that to happen. So it felt like kind of like one of my own friends, passed away, in some respect. So total gut punch, but heart goes out to his family and friends and everybody. I'm sure it was a really difficult day for you. I mean, guess I'm curious, what was your relationship with Jimmy like,
Yeah.
and how did you find out?
Well, the one thing I will say is for I don't want to get into it into detail, but the circumstance in which he passed away is what it is, man. Like I'm not gonna sit here and pat the guy on the back for it, but I'm not gonna. It's done, man. He's not here, so I'm not gonna sit here and pass judgment. It doesn't matter if it was a car crash or it was a health issue, man. Whatever, it happened, man. It happened. So I'm not gonna sit here and defend that. I don't want fans to sit here and think that I'm okay with that. But for a long time I actually wasn't okay with it, but I just have to deal with it and move on. But yeah, the thing is too, like with this whole thing is I actually never actually met him in person. Just because when I got brought on board with those guys, it was still in the peak of COVID, man. Like we couldn't even cross the border. Like the borders were still closed. Right. And they had done a trip to the Tahoe games, like where they played the outdoor games on the lake there. I couldn't go to that. And they decided to go to a Vegas, Colorado game, I believe, in Vegas playoff game. And I could have went to that, but it would have cost me an absolute arm and a leg. I would have had to like quarantine for like 2 weeks and all that bullshit. So I never got the chance to meet him. And that's what a lot of people ask me, like, well, you didn't meet him, but the thing, it's different, man. Like when you talk to somebody every single day, and like these guys in this group, it's every single day. Like the off season is a little more quiet. But it's every single day, and being on Zoom calls and meetings over Zoom and being on the podcast, this and that. Like I remember the first time I actually like was on a Zoom call with him, I froze. Like I don't know why. Like if you ask me today, like talking to NHL guys, like it doesn't matter to me, man. Like I'm the kind of guy, like, and that's I know they like that about me at the Nation. Like I'll go if I see an NHL guy at a Flames game, like the last playoff run, I saw a bunch of, I'll just go up and talk to them. Like I'm not afraid to talk to them. And like I wasn't afraid to talk to Upshaw. I definitely was not afraid to talk to O'Brien. But for whatever reason, man, I got put on the Zoom call and it was just me and him, and I froze. I didn't know what to say, man. Like I was just like, he was trying to chat me up, and I was just like, God damn. And I was so embarrassed at the end of it. So I made sure that the next time it was just me and him on the Zoom call, that I chatted him up and asked him about his day and this and that, talked about the NHL, and me and him kind of grew. We're a little closer in age. The other two are both 37, 38, and me and him we're both 31. He was 30 at the time, but or 31, whatever he was. And we both had 2 kids at the pretty much the exact same time. We both have 2 boys. My boy's 2.5 right now, and my other boy's about 1.5, close in that middle range there. And my second born son Miles was born on May the 1st, and his second born Mac was born on May the 5th. So right in that same time, we both became a dad for the second time. And I tried to reach out to him at the hospital, and he reached out to me right away. So we grew together with that. And yeah, it was just crazy because we like, we're building towards the off season. This was been in August. I got some social media report that like I had like quadrupled our social numbers by in the millions, like views and impressions. And like everybody was like sent through the text. They're like, oh, that's fucking sweet, Printzy. Oh, it's so cool. And like Jimmy lost his fucking mind. Like he was like, this is so fucking cool, man. We're gonna take down Sportsnet. Like, he just like was texting me. He's like, oh my God, you're doing so fucking cool, man. Like this is so good. And one of the last things he said to me was like, you're not playing, but you're going to be a superstar in this league one day, man. So that was probably one of the last things he said to me. But just to kind of talk about what you had asked me before, there's like, how'd you find out? It was, we just like the night before, like I was like walking my son around like the neighborhood in the ponds, and it was like so nice out. And I made this post. I can't remember what it was, but in the world of social media, when you make a post and it just boom, clicks, it's like the feeling of scoring a goal or like hitting a home run or like scoring a touchdown, man. Like when you hit something on social media and it just boom explodes, and there's 15 NHL players that have liked it and shared it, like something like that had happened. And I just remember thinking like, this is so fucking cool that I'm doing this and that. And like, I went to bed and woke up and went down to my office where my undeveloped basement office that I'm in right now, and sat in front of the computer. And we had Andy Sutton was our guest that week, and I was doing up the graphics, and I was like so excited because we were just came off spring or summer break where these guys go and do their thing. And the worst part about all of that was I just finished doing two episodes of the best of Missing Curfew. So I spent the last like 3 weeks listening to his best stories like over and over and over again. And then I just got a text message from Scotty Upshall saying, hey, I don't know if you've heard or if anybody's spoken to you yet or not, but Jimmy didn't wake up today. And I just I just froze. Like I looked up, I think I looked at my phone for 10 minutes straight, and I didn't answer because I was scared. I wanted somebody else to answer. I didn't want to be the one that had to answer. And I just remember thinking, like, don't look at Twitter. Don't look at Twitter. If you don't look at Twitter, then it's not real. And I remember I looked at Twitter and I saw it was Bucci Gross was the first person to tweet it out there. And that's when it became real for me, when it was a real thing and nobody had any idea of what was going on. And then there was just a complete panic of what do we do now? Like fans are like, my phone is already exploding, like people looking for answers. And obviously I'm not going to give anybody I'm not going to DM back some random person asking me questions, but I had to put out a statement. And I remember, even if you read it back today, the statement doesn't even make sense because I was just like shaking, like trying to put it out there. And, we got, we didn't know what to do, where to go from here. Like what do we do here now? And I remember going up to my wife and I couldn't speak. Like I handed her my phone and I just showed her the text message. I couldn't even speak because I didn't know what to say. And she went into shock too. And my little guy was there and I just remember grabbing him and holding on to him. And, you think about Jimmy right away, but you think about his wife and you think about his kids and, what they're left behind, what they're going to have to deal with. And, I sat back and just kind of let it all soak in. And again, my phone was it literally was just like it was not stopping, man. Like I was getting thousands of messages every 20 minutes, man. Like, good messages and bad messages too, man. And that's kind of when I sat back and kind of thought to myself, I was like, the fallout from this is not going to end. Like I'm going to have to deal with this for such a long time. And, as the days kind of went on, we had no idea if Missing Curfew was even going to keep going. I had a lot of people were saying, is this going to keep going? I was like, I don't know. Like I gave the guys their space and like, I talked to them when they needed it. And just doing the social media stuff, that was just like seeing every single NHL team tweet about it and NHL players. And it was just like, it's just an absolute gut punch, man. And
yeah,
like I said, good messages and bad messages too. Like I never thought I would get some of the most awful messages that you could possibly imagine. And, tons of NHL, even, tons of NHL guys reached out too, which was wild. And even the most wild thing is not only did NHL guys reach out to the Missing Curfew page, is they reached out to me too, which I didn't know. I didn't think anybody knew who I was, right? Because even at the time, I was only a year into Missing Curfew. I'd only been on the show maybe twice. But people, they just talked about me a lot. Like I'm sure you heard that one on the podcast.
Oh, yeah.
Like this fucking Printzy guy from Calgary. They mentioned me every episode. But it was really cool to see NHL players reached out. PK Subban was one of them who reached out and called me by my name and, who said, I know that you're a human being behind this. Like you're probably taking so much abuse right now. Just keep your head up, man. And Rear Admiral from Spittin' Chicklets reached out to myself. Cam Jansen from St. Louis reached out. But the one, because when we were kind of deciding like what's going on here, I went to bed one night and I woke up and I just decided I'm done. Like I can't do this anymore. I'll wait for the appropriate time and I'll step down and I'll go do something else, man, because I don't know if I'm going to be able to deal with this. And it was actually my wife who said, you're not quitting, because whatever happens, but Kristen Hayes needs you right now. And Kevin Hayes needs you right now. And the Hayes family needs you. And Scotty and Shane, they need you right now because they're not dealing with this stuff. And it was true. I waited a while before I actually talked to his wife, Kristen, but she told me that, the social posts that you put out there, might have saved me because it just reminded me of the best stuff. And I know it's not the easiest stuff to find, all that. But yeah, to see, the funeral procession and, when the Blackhawks and the Bruins and the Devils and the Panthers, they all went out for warm up and wore their Broadway jerseys. And it was really cool to see, man. And it's even to this day, like today definitely was not an easy day for sure, to be reminded of on social media. And it's not easy to have to, I could have just stopped posting about him, like just completely stop, but that's not fair. And like I still have to go find those clips and pictures and stuff but to Google his name, and it's not fun, man. But
yeah,
what I can say to kind of finish off all this stuff is I have a cool story, and I've never shared this before, but obviously Scotty and Shane and the crew at Hall Pass Media, they were able to get me through a lot of this stuff, and I was able to get them through with a lot of stuff too. I'm definitely not downplaying what they did, but there was a guy that he reached out to me. It was I don't know if you know him. His name's Terry Ryan. Is his name, the hockey player. He's kind of synonymous with Spittin' Chicklets. He was the Montreal Canadiens, high draft pick that didn't quite pan out. He's the guy that's got stories of, he'd soak hot sauce on his hands and get in fights with people and punch them in the face and attack them from there. But Terry Ryan reached out to me right away, and I didn't get back to him right away because the DMs at that time, Jimmy's passing, one person would send them and then they'd get buried by thousands of DMs. So I had to like wait and go back through, and he was just very polite and like, just, told me it's okay, man. You're going to get through this, man. You're definitely you're going to be okay with this. And for whatever reason, I just remember just talking to Terry and DMing him back like a couple days later and just having a conversation with him. And, him being very reassuring, and he was so polite, and he asked for permission to speak about it on his podcast. And he did such an amazing tribute on his podcast. He's so well-spoken, but for whatever reason, man, like I just talking to Terry, he just, for whatever reason, he just made me feel like everything was going to be okay. And I don't know why. Terry, if you're listening to this, man, like I can't wait to meet you one day and just shake your hand and thank you for getting me through just an awful time. I can't thank you enough for that, man. So I think I'm done with talking about the Jimmy stuff now, because it's definitely not easy, but it needed to be put out there. And I think of Jimmy Hayes every day, and I think of my missing curfew brothers. And thank you to everybody for the messages and the DMs today, and everybody at the nation that reached out today and in our morning meeting said they got my back. And it's been awesome, man. So we'll leave it at that, Robert. Sorry I flooded you with that, but it was just,
no, man, that was a beautiful story. And
yeah,
no, it's a great way to honor Jimmy's memory.
It is, man. And I'll keep doing it. And I'm, I have it saved in my DMs of a goal that Robert sent me where Jimmy scores on a pretty broken play in Calgary. Like,
yeah,
I don't know
like
what the hell happened there. I think it was actually like Upshaw had made he was actually shockingly back checking, and he stopped whatever and turned it around. And for whatever reason, Jimmy potted in the open net. So I'm going to post that on Flames Nation today. And we got Mackenzie Weegar. I got a nice photo of him with the Broadway logo on the back of his jersey too. So I'm going to fire that one out there too. So we'll leave it at that, guys. So I got through it, man. I got through it. So to recap, Robert, thank you so much for joining me today. What we're going to be doing is more of these, one-on-one episodes. Maybe we'll have Audie join us. We'll, if we want our brain turned into a blender, maybe me and Robert will try to take on Pike one time on a podcast and see if we can stump him on some stuff, but highly unlikely. But we're going to be rotating through a bunch of our guests and not our guests, our hosts. And, we'll be doing some next day reaction videos, some pregame, some postgame, just some general stuff. Robert's amazing at, he sent me a bunch of ideas for the Montana show of just some amazing topics that we can go over. I'm a Flames historian too, man. Like I can remember, going to a game in like 1999 and watching Tommy Albaline score with a Jofa helmet on. Like I remember that shit, man. So super excited to do it. So Robert, any last message to our fans and Flames Nation here before we sign off?
No, just super excited to get the season going, and rest in peace, Jimmy. That was a beautiful story you gave, and great message, and heartbreaking day, but I'm sure his family and friends and everybody in Flames Nation appreciates you sharing all those great memories. So just really excited to get going, and thanks for having me today. Appreciate it, man. The one final thing before we got to sign off here, I do have to mention, because it is just coming to an end here in August. Noah and myself, we were at Montana's at 130th in Calgary a couple weeks ago doing the Montana's Get Montana's Messy. That is their rib fest going on right now. So 7 days a week, they are doing unlimited ribs, and they're doing this till September the 12th, but they're also doing hashtag Montana's Get Messy. So if you're at Montana's, you're doing takeout, whatever you're doing, man, take a picture of your ribs, hashtag Montana's Get Messy. They're giving away some amazing prizes from Montana's, and they're an awesome sponsor of Flames Nation, Shot Down in Flames, and the nation in general. So again, Rib Fest is on 7 days a week. Go to that till September the 12th and use that hashtag Montana's Get Messies. This has been another episode of Shot Down in Flames with our new guy, Robert. I'm pumped to have him on the show. Thanks for listening, guys. Tune in next